We all know McDonald's, this huge multinational company that, let's be honest, we've all been to at some point. But do you really know how McDonald's came to be? How did we end up enjoying those burgers the way we do today? Today, I'll tell you how McDonald's came to be. One of the largest fast food companies in the world, from its humblest origins to what it is today. And fair warning, it's not the pretty story you imagine. Before it was an empire, McDonald's was just a burger stand in San Bernardino, California, run by two brothers, Richard and Morris McDonald. They came from New Hampshire and moved to California in the 1930s, chasing the American dream of the era, the movies. It didn't work out. So, like many others, they ended up in the food business. First a movie theater that failed, then a hot dog stand, and in 1940 they opened their first barbecue restaurant with car hop service, the McDonald's Bar BQ. It did well, but the brothers noticed something. Most of their profits came from the burgers, not the rest of the menu. In 1948, they made a bold decision. They closed the restaurant completely for months to reinvent it from scratch. So they asked a simple question. What if you cut out everything that isn't essential? They let go of the car hops, got rid of the plates, cut the menu from 25 items down to just 9, and created the speedy service system, where each employee handled a single task, like an assembly line, but for burgers. The result? Food out in 30 seconds and up to 30% cheaper than the competition. People lined up just to watch how it worked. This wasn't a restaurant anymore, it was a show of pure efficiency. The business exploded and the brothers started selling licenses carelessly. They made money, but they had no ambition to build an empire. They were already millionaires by the standards of the time and enjoyed it. Ray Kroc had spent his whole life as a salesman, first selling paper cups, and since the 1930s, selling multi-mixer milkshake machines called multi-mixers, capable of making several shakes at once. For years, he sold multi-mixers to restaurants across the country without much success. At 52 years old, he wasn't rich, wasn't successful, and felt like time was running out to achieve something big. In 1954, he received an order that caught his attention. A single restaurant asking for 8 multi-mixers at once, capable of making 40 shakes at the same time. Kroc couldn't understand it. He had to see it for himself. When he arrived in San Bernardino, he found lines of people waiting under the sun, food served in seconds, and a system so perfect it looked choreographed. In that moment, Kroc didn't see a burger joint. He saw the entire future of America eating like this. Kroc convinced the brothers to let him franchise the business nationwide. They agreed, but kept the legal rights to the name and the system. Any change required their written approval. Kroc signed, and in 1955 he opened his first McDonald's under that deal in Illinois. He threw himself into opening restaurants across the country, obsessed with expansion, while the brothers stayed comfortable in California, collecting only a small percentage and barely lifting a finger. But every time Kroc wanted to innovate, he had to ask them for permission, and they often refused. To him, that dependence felt more and more like a cage. He had risked everything, mortgaged his house, and the brothers could stop him with a single phone call. That frustration turned into obsession. Kroc wanted total control, not just a share. In 1961, Kroc offered to buy out the brothers' full rights to the business for $2.7 million, maxing himself out financially to do it, with an unwritten condition, promised only by word of mouth, that they would keep 1% of the profits for life, and would keep the original restaurant in San Bernardino under their name. Kroc kept neither promise. He never paid them the percentage because it was never put in writing. And years later, he built a new McDonald's right across the street from the original restaurant, until he pushed them completely out of the business they themselves had invented. Maurice died in 1971 without ever receiving anything. Richard lived until 1998, watching the brand he created become a global symbol. Without him.
Meanwhile, under Kroc's leadership, McDonald's never stopped growing. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, every detail was standardized. The taste, the cooking time, even the size of the fries, so that a McDonald's in New York tasted exactly the same as one in California. In the decades that followed, the brand crossed borders. It reached Japan, Europe, Latin America, becoming one of the most recognizable symbols in the world, alongside iconic characters like Ronald McDonald and advertising aimed directly at families and children. Today, McDonald's has a presence in more than 100 countries and serves tens of millions of people every day. It has had to constantly adapt. Menus tailored to each country's culture, healthier options in response to criticism over its nutritional value, and a strong push toward technology, with digital ordering, mobile apps, and increasingly automated restaurants. It remains, without a doubt, the largest fast food chain on the planet. But behind that golden logo lies a story few people know, the story of two brothers who invented a brilliant system, and a milkshake machine salesman who took it from them to build the empire we all know today. The lesson behind this story isn't just about burgers. It's about vision, ambition, and how far a person is willing to go to build something great, even at the expense of the very people who made it possible. The McDonald brothers created the system, but it was Ray Kroc who built the empire. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a new video, and you'll help me create more content and share the stories behind the world's biggest companies. I'd also love to hear which company you'd like me to cover in a future video, so leave your suggestions in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.